Story time with Stephanie.
My name is Stephanie Storey. I'm an art historical novelist, and this is my show Story Time, where I get to talk to other writers about their work. My guest today is all kinds of things, but I do like to think of her as the creator of the DEB Method, which we will talk about, the DEB Method of setting goals. She is the founder of an online organization called Write On Online, which is a community of writers and creatives. She's the host of Goal Chat, which I was on recently on Facebook Live, which was fantastic. And we had a great conversation. So I'm very excited to be able to continue this conversation with her. She's also the author of multiple books, including her new one, which just came out earlier this year in 2020, Your Goal Guide, a roadmap for setting, planning, and achieving your goals. And with all of that, welcome to the show, Debra Eckerling.
Thank you so much for having me. I've been like jazzed. Well, I was actually jazzed before I interviewed you, but especially since I interviewed you, I'm like, yay, she's turning the table on me and we get to chat more. So thank you so much for having me.
Well, I really loved our conversation because you are so into creativity and inspiring other people of how to achieve their own creative goals, which I love. So before I ask anything, tell the viewers at home about your book, and therefore I know you will get into the DEB method of goal setting. We will show up pretty still, but please hold it up. Yes, hold it up, hold it up.
My baby, my yellow and reddish orange child. Now, and honestly, and you're an author, you get this. I love my book so much. But part of why I love my book is because I just wanted to help other people. And I know it sounds really, well, you know me, and it's totally genuine. It's not like, ooh, she's like nicey nice. No, this is just me. I am a firm believer that everybody should be happy in part, if not all of their life. And a lot of people, they get in a rut, they're frustrated, they don't love their job, or they don't have any balance, and they need to figure out a way out. Whether it is to look for a new job or start a side hustle or whatever, but figure out the thing that brings them joy so they can kind of incorporate it into their life. So my book, it goes through the DEB method, which we'll get to in a minute. But the first half goes through this DEB method, and the second half takes you through like strategies for success, because I'm all about setting yourself up for success. So yeah, it came out in January, 2 months before the world changed and everybody had to like rethink their entire life. And it's easy. My motto, and I go into motto is chapter 5. My motto is goal setting simplified. So everything I create, whether it's my book or my workshops or my tasks or my communities, it's all about goal setting simplified, because changing your life is hard enough. The instructions should be easy.
Why are you so obsessed with goal setting? Do you know where that came from for you? Before I get to the DEB method and we actually walk through what these tips are for other people, what drives you personally to feel like, because I feel like that's like your mission in life.
It is.
You know where that comes from?
Well, I could do the specific or the woo-woo. So my mom's an artist. And so I was raised, follow what you love, and that is the way
right
we live our lives. You do it's really funny because I was so adamant, this creative spirit, and I worked in business for many years. My career background is project management, communications, those sorts of things. So I am, and it's so chicken and egg. So out of college, I worked at Barnes & Noble. And then I started doing events for them. And whenever I needed to fill my calendar, I would just like hang out in the cafe because, I would like people. And we had a community, and it was really this bookstore. I wanted to be able to showcase people in the community, give them what they needed. Anyway, one day someone walks in and says, "Hey, Deb, will you start a writer support group?" And I said, "If you think people will show up, yes, I'm happy to." So it really started with that. And for me, writer support group was about goal setting. What did you accomplish? What are you going to do for next time? And I am very much, I'm never going to give anybody homework that I'm not prepared to do myself. So everybody else set goals, so I set goals as well. And again, it was, my degree is in journalism. I ended up working in a bookstore. It was wonderful, really, really enjoyed it, but I wasn't writing. So my goal for every meeting was to write just a fun slice of life article, just a nice little column, keep the writing brain going. And it turned out several months later, I was at an event. Imagine this, me networking. And I was there was a magazine with a booth, and I said, "Are you looking for freelancers?" And I had samples because I had been setting goals, achieving them. I was just ready, and they took my clips. I actually ended up publishing one of my sample stories as well. But that's really where it started. There I was, taskmaster. Okay, what are you working on? How can we help you? And it helped me just as much. So it's that whole community mentality when you're in a group and you're setting goals, or you're saying your goals out loud, and there's some people who are really protective of their goals, and that's fine. You don't have to tell me what your goals are. You can say, "I'm going to write a chapter on this or work on this story." You don't need to be specific, but the whole act of saying what you want to do and being around other people who are doing that, and if they're achieving their goals, well, you sure as heck are going to achieve yours too, right? So that is really the goal setting kernel where I am now. That's where it started. And okay, this is a really good time for me to talk about the DEB method. So this is about 2.5 years ago. The group started as a writers group, and then after I moved to LA, I started it up again, and then it became a hybrid, online and live, and then online only, and then live only. Now we're, online only again. But somewhere, I'd say maybe 8-9 years ago, it became not just for writers, creatives, and entrepreneurs, because we're all kind of the same. If you're one, you're the other two. And the secret is, it's not just writers, creatives, and entrepreneurs, it's professionals too, because everybody needs goals. And the biggest challenge people have with achieving their goals is they don't take the time to figure out what it is they want. So 2.5 years ago, when I rebranded, because I've been Right On Online for years, that was the group name that we gave the live group. So when it went, no brainer. When it went online, we became Right On Online. And I've been working with clients. Mostly the people that I coach are entrepreneurs who want to write a book, or need help networking, or need like a plan for something, whether it's networking, social media. I have all these things. What do I do first? So, and when I work with people, I'm like a fitness coach. We start with okay, let's figure out what you want, make the plan, and then we'll meet every week, every other week, every month, just to make sure it stays on track. And what I found, so 2.5 years ago, I decided it was time to fully embrace this, my mission, to help as many people as possible figure out what they want and how to get it, help them define, plan, and achieve their goals. And in the rebranding, it turns out my name worked with the same system that I've been using for years and years. So D stands for determine your mission, E is explore your options, and B is brainstorm your path. So these are the 3 phases where you can figure out what you want and how to get it. So the D, that's the important one, because it all goes back to determining that mission. And it starts with visualization. Okay, when you imagine Goaltopia, that's that place where you're living the life you want and achieving your goals. I made up a word because I was looking for a word that existed and it didn't know. I'm a writer.
Goaltopia. That's adorable. Okay, go ahead.
So you figure out your Goaltopia. Then you want to look at your bio, where you are now, and then your future bio. What do you want your bio to say in a year, 3 years, 5 years? And even right now, it's like the end of the year, the end of next year. Your bio doesn't have to be, you can have an idea of your ultimate goal, but the increments you work in, again, are up to you. So once you have that, you can figure out your mission. So you've got the thing that you love, the life that you love, that you want, and look at your bio. Okay, this is what I do. And this is why I want to do it. And this is the most important part, is how it helps others. Because even as writers, if your goal, if your mission is to educate, entertain, inform, it's still a mission. It's still helping other people. So my mission just so happens to be, use my background, experience, and philosophies to help as many people as possible define, plan, and achieve their goals. I can say it much longer. I can say it much shorter. And once you have that mission, it goes to the motto, which for me is goal setting simplified. And when you have all these things, but especially that motto, that's like your barometer. That's that as you do things, as you prioritize everything that comes your way, if you know your motto, it's going to keep you on track to reach Goaltopia.
But one of the things that I wanted to ask you about, because you mentioned this during the chat that we had, that so much of pandemic life in general is creative. Like, you have to be creative in order to survive. You have to like goal set in order to survive, in order to just make it through the day. So just tell me a little bit about your perspective on that, and your advice to people that you give to people trying to navigate the rest of being in lockdown or in quieter life, and trying to hold it all together and still trying to keep their creative projects going. Aside from sort of the broader things, what are some of the specific things you tell people about how to stay creative in life and how to goal set, and I don't know, what's some advice you're giving to people?
Well, I think the first one that comes to mind is a lot of people used to commute.
Mm-hmm.
They don't anymore. So the first thing you can do is, if you're like, oh gosh, maybe you're working, maybe you're not, maybe you're involved with, educating your kids. I don't know what your life is like, but chances are you used to commute sometime to work and from work every day. So think about that. Was your commute like, did you have a 30-minute commute, 15 minutes each way? So that means during the week, you have 2.5 hours that you used to spend in a car. What can you do? And I'm not even saying to use all 2.5 hours. Maybe you just use an hour and a half of it. Maybe you just pick 3 days a week that I'm going to do something for me, something creative. And it could be in the morning when you'd be driving, or in the afternoon when you'd be driving, or maybe it's you want to meet new people and enhance your community. You can use that found time for networking, or looking into hobbies. But think about it as, okay, bonus, I have 2.5 hours I used to be in a car. What can I do for at least some of it that's going to make me feel good and better about everything? And yes, the creativity, we all get to use our creative thinking minds to, okay, how am I going to get groceries? Or how am I going to run this errand? Or how can I avoid people altogether and exist in my home? Everywhere in the country is a little bit different. Yeah. I'm in LA and I don't leave unless I have to, because I don't have to. Mm-hmm. Right? There are places where it's rural and it's safe to walk out. And I'll be honest, where I live, someone could like round the corner without a mask with no notice. So why would I put myself in that position?
Right.
Right. So I walk around my apartment a lot, or I'll go get the mail downstairs. Or I take a friend of mine teaches UJAM in San Diego, and I get to go to her classes because they are online, because they're not in person anymore. Mm-hmm. So that's the other really easy, well, at least easy for me to give tip, is look at the opportunities. What are things that you can do now because you can't go out? Yeah. Maybe you always wanted to learn to knit or sew or cook. Oh my goodness, how many people have learned to cook or to embrace cooking? I actually I started to love cooking about 3 years ago when I got an Instant Pot. And I keep saying, thank goodness I started loving cooking before the pandemic, because if it was forced on me now, but even that, that's another creative thing. Okay, where I used to go to the grocery store a lot because it's right down the street from where I live. Now I have to do lists. If I need 2 things, I'm not going to run down the street. So I get to be creative. Okay, what am I going to have? That's not time for a grocery list yet. What do I have? What can I create? How can I use the cooking time to like nourish my soul? That's the other thing too, is what is that thing that you love to do that you never got to do in pre-pandemic life? You're always busy running carpools or going on this errand or that errand or work meetings, but you have this bonus time. What do you want to do? Because goals aren't just about changing your life. They can be, and ultimately I guess they do, because if you set goals that make you happy, it's going to leak in to the rest of your life. But did you always want to learn to do something? Or did you always want to study something else, even though you did the sensible career? Well, there's so many places online that there's open source where there are courses and like everything. You have a computer, you have internet, you have everything at your disposal. So the moment you start looking at lockup as a gift, everything changes.
You told me before we started recording that you've just decided to just get rid of 2020 a little early, and you've decided that New Year's is December 1st. Tell me why and what you're doing to celebrate. I think this is a brilliant idea. What are we doing, Deb?
Okay, well, in October, I decided that it was the year was a slog, by maybe even sooner. So I decided what we need to get through the year in October was survival. And that's when I had you on my Goal Chat, or my Goal Chat Live. I do a Goal Chat Twitter chat on Sunday nights, and then I bring in a guest. And I was so thrilled that we could do this because of creativity being such an important part of survival. But in tandem with that, I gave myself a challenge to celebrate a win every single day in October, which I posted on all my social media for the DEB Method. So my Instagram, my Facebook, my Twitter, and my LinkedIn, I would share my win and ask others what they were doing. And some days I would get a bunch of responses, and other days, not as many. But for me, it was a great exercise because some of my wins were food, because cooking food, it's a win and you get food. One day I put survive the week because that was how I was feeling. But other wins were, and I used you as a win because we had such a great time. So the new people that I've met, that I've connected with, the places where I speak, I'm speaking at a Twitter conference in November. So that was, got booked to speak this. Oh, my favorite win, total stranger Googled and found me and invited me to speak to a group of realtors on setting goals. I mean, a stranger who it turned out, of course, we have mutual friends, but like, do you ever get a call out of the blue that says, hey, Deb, I found you on YouTube. Will you come speak on goal setting to our people? That's like, wow. So the purpose of making it public, now I always track. So everything I do, I keep, and that's one of my favorite tips is if you calendar your you time and then write what you accomplished during that, at the end of the month, when you feel like you're not progressing, you just have to look at your calendar and say, oh, I am progressing. I did this, this, and this, So for me, doing the win a day was just showing people anything is a win. We want to celebrate everything. We want to get through October. Then I decided, okay, so if if October is survival mode, then November is going to be wrapping up the year mode. And December is going to be 2021.
Excellent. I think that's a great plan. So what are you doing to celebrate?
Okay, well, first of all, I now have a website, which is start2021now.com. Will take you to my page on the DEB Method. And it's really just all about encouraging people to embrace next year now. Because come on, the year was crap. Some people had good years. More people had very, very bad years. Mm-hmm. Why not get rid of it? And where in the rules does it say, okay, well, maybe in the calendar it says, but your life can start whenever you want to. Goal setting is not a January 1st activity. You can set new goals whenever you are facing change, whether it's by choice or circumstance, and hit the refresh button. So I decided, let's all hit the refresh button on December 1st. So I have, my November topics, and you can watch all the videos if you go to thedebmethod.com/blog. All my recaps are there and all my upcoming events and speaking. And there's a tab that says Start 2021 Now up in the menu. And that's where I culled together all the different things, all the different resources. So the different chats, I've got some workshops coming up. I'm doing a Facebook Live New Year's party on December 1st on the DEB Method and Mango Facebook pages, probably. And yeah, I'll multicast, because when I do things on the DEB Method, I like to also stream to Mango, which is my publisher, and then to my different groups as well, because I want to motivate, inspire, and help as many people as possible make 2021 as awesome as 2020 sucked.
I think that is a great plan, man. Just to help people set goals and set the goal of just making next year better. It has to be somehow.
Right. Well, and the other thing too is, so my book is like, is this not the perfect holiday present for yourself, or like for your best friend who hates her job but can't find a way out, or your cousin who has an idea for a side business but does not know how to do the framework to plan.
Yeah.
So, and that's really kind of what it all started out as. So is just kind of spread the word about the DEB Method, spread the word about me, and because I just want to help more people. And I know, and this is also going to sound really corny, because you asked if when I was a kid, was I always this way? Probably. But one thing I can remember as a kid is, when you're figuring out your life, I always knew that I wanted to make an impact. Whatever path that I went in, I wanted to be in a position to help others. So I am working. I don't say this out loud very often. So my goal to be the #1 goal setting expert, I need to get myself out there, and even like saying my goal like this out loud is like, I am claiming it. This people need me now. It's really funny, because I always tell people, toot your own horn, tell them how awesome you are. Whenever I do it for myself, I'm like, I make people do this. But
I love it.
But the system works, and most resources will tell you how to achieve your goals. I help you how to figure out what the goals are so you can achieve your goals. And that's that's what makes the difference.
Yeah, it is. It's such an important part of it, to figure out that you have to determine what you really want to do, because you have to know what you want to do and what your mission is in order to have the passion and the energy in order to follow through on all of the goal setting, because that's the hardest part.
Right. Well, and we talked about this when you were on my show. You always knew that you wanted to be a novelist, and for a while you thought, okay, I'll go this way for a while, but you found your way back
Mhm.
to
Yeah,
the
yeah.
thing that you
Yeah,
love.
mine just sort of stay. I always knew. I always feel lucky because I always knew. I talk to so many people
Right.
who don't, and they have to figure that out. And I think that's a sticking point for people. So I love it that you're helping people figure out what they want to do with their lives, so then they can go make 2021 better than 2020. It starts December 1st, people. Um,
Well, and listen, you know what? It really isn't a very high bar to make it better than 2020. So how about let's set yourself up for success in 2021. And if you start it now, you've got 13 months
I love it.
to get to that finish line.
I love it. I think that's a very good plan. And you're right. Set the bar higher than just beating 2020, people. Make it a success. Make 2021 a success. We're all on board.
Stephanie, story time virtually. We've got time and plenty of stories, talking stories in a novel way. Story time with Stephanie, story.